You've undoubtedly heard that phrase, you only look as good as you feel. Well, I'm not feeling it today. I can tell you that right now. My day actually started Monday. Yeah, yesterday at 7:30 in the morning when I happened to get up. That's the last time I've been to sleep. Now, why I keep doing this to myself, I don't know, to be honest with you. Since high school, I have been one of these guys that manages to survive on 3, 4, maybe 5 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. And it's been that way for years. I was busy all day yesterday, and then this morning had to fly cross country. Then I get to the airport. I drive a little over an hour and a half to get home. And what you don't realize as you're watching this video report, I literally got to my house 10 minutes ago, came up the stairs, set up the laptop, turned on the lights, found the first jacket and tie combination that worked in the closet, sat down here and said, I'm not going to shave. I don't have time. So I could fire up this video report and talk about tonight's game 4 between the Cavaliers and the Celtics. Why? Because I love you. Okay, you're not buying that, and really, I didn't think I could really sell it either, but hey, I figured I'd give it a shot, you know? Actually, I didn't feel like writing chapter and verse about the Celtics and Cavaliers, so I figured the video report would actually be a hell of a lot easier. So let's dispense with the honesty here and get to it, okay? So last night I happened to be watching the end of the Warriors game and Spurs, and I was out in public, and a bunch of people are gathered around the game, and they're all talking about Steph and Draymond Green and talking about the Warriors and whether or not they could beat the Cavaliers. And they don't know what I do, and I don't know these people. And I'm in a public setting and stuff. And I can guarantee you, I am the only guy sitting there as every bucket in the last 2 minutes is being made, as every shot is being missed by San Antonio. I'm looking at that score and I'm going, 13 points, 15 points, 17 points. Oh no, now it's 15. Oops, it's going down to 13. I'm laying 12 and a half. I am doing that instant math on every single bucket. I'm the only guy sitting there going, yes, when the Warriors push it up to 15, when they make it 17. I'm the only guy at the end when Anderson, I think it was for the Spurs, hits that three-pointer going, please, no more scoring for San Antonio. Just run out the clock. Let's not have a turnover. I'm the only guy among probably the dozen guys that are watching the end of that game going, please let the damn game get over. Because you know why that was important for us. Aren't we sure about that? So, another NBA winner for me last night as far as the Warriors are concerned, and another great winning, profitable week as well. But let's talk about this particular game here tonight. I have been 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, cashing with a 15-dime best bet on the Cavaliers in game number 1 and a 5-dime play on the Cavaliers in game number 2. And then in game number 3, I went with a 5-dime play with the game to stay under the total, which of course it did not. And then I gave you a complimentary play, of which I've been on a hell of a roll here on the video report on Cleveland in game number 3. Because I thought that the only way you could possibly play Cleveland in game number 3 was to go ahead and lay the 17 points. Well, basically for one half, that looked like a brilliant, brilliant play. And then all hell broke loose in the second half. And if we're going to point fingers, we would have to say it would be fair to point the biggest finger in LeBron James's direction. Because listen, if we're going to give him all the credit for the success, we have to say that what happened in game 3, well, that utter collapse definitely falls at LeBron's feet. Because this was a team that was up 21 points in the third quarter. This is a team that got great contributions from Kyrie Irving, who had 29 points, from Kevin Love, who continued his great series here against the Celtics, because Boston has absolutely no way to stop Cleveland's big men. I mean, Love had 28 points and 10 rebounds. Tristan Thompson, once again, following up a strong second-round series against Toronto by dominating in this series with 18 points and 13 rebounds. So you had 3 of the top 4 contributors for Cleveland having monster games, but LeBron was missing in action. This is a guy who entered that game averaging 34.3 points in the playoffs, a guy who had had 8 consecutive games scoring at least 30 points, who was simply MIA in that contest. That's the bottom line. He simply had one of those games. And listen, I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying that if we're going to laud him for all his magnificent efforts, that when the guy shoots 4 for 13 and goes scoreless in the fourth quarter, and his team blows a 20-point lead in the third quarter and loses at home in a series that they should have wrapped up in 4 games, well, then you got to point the finger in his direction as well. But tonight's another day. Now, I don't think it's the best bet on the board. I think there's a baseball chalk that is far better tonight to bet on as I go for 5-dime wonder number 15 out of 20. That's where I think the money should go tonight. But I'm telling you now that if you're going to play this game, again, I would go ahead and lay the 15 points because just like last night with the Warriors, the only way to play this game is to go ahead and lay the points with the favorite because this is still a Cleveland team that had won 13 consecutive playoff games dating back to last year's finals before they got upended in game number 3. And, oh, by the way, LeBron James's teams, whether it be the Cavaliers the first time around, the Cavaliers this time around, the Miami Heat in between, his teams in the playoffs, that was the first time after 49 straight wins and 0 losses that a team of his in the postseason with at least a 20-point lead had ever lost a game. I often say to you, what we do is all about playing the percentages, playing the odds. Listen, guys, Marcus Smart went off for a career-high 27 points, 7 of 10 on three-pointers. This is a guy who was a 28.3% three-point shooter during the regular season. This is a guy who overall field goal percentage, 35.9% during the regular season. The Cavaliers, such a strong three-point shooting team this year, regular and postseason combined, 14 for 22 from beyond the arc in the first half, 2 for 17 from downtown in the second half. LeBron James, again, 34.3 points entering the postseason in this game. Disappeared, scoreless in the fourth quarter. My odds say the percentages are that James reverts to form and the Celtics fold like a cheap suit here tonight. Also, just remember something else. You have to look at how LeBron James handles adversity. I saw a great article that broke down his top 15 all-time worst playoff performances. And the last truly bad game that LeBron James had happened to be in game number 2 of the NBA Finals last year when the Warriors took a 2-0 lead when LeBron had 19.7 turnovers in that 110-77 loss in game number 2 last year of the Finals. And then what happened in game number 3? LeBron showed up with 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists, and the Cavaliers won by 30 points, and we know the rest of that story. To paraphrase, or actually to directly quote, the famous radio commentator Paul Harvey, who was before my time, but I have certainly heard that phrase used enough. So I think that he will rebound tonight. And listen, the metrics are still the same as I've quoted you and when I took the Cavaliers in games number 1 and 2 of this series, and even when I supported them in complimentary play in game number 3. Boston's biggest problem is their lack of rebounding ability, although they certainly held their own in game number 3. Al Horford and anybody else they put out there are not going to be able to contain James and Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. And the problem with the Cavaliers defensively this season has been that when other teams hold their own defensively on the boards, well, that allows them to get out in transition. Well, by the Cavaliers doing a good job, at least they did in games number 1 and 2, that negates any advantage the Celtics could possibly have and any opponent has had against them this season. Also, at the same time, when the Cavaliers do the job on the boards, they get a lot of second chance opportunities. They get more opportunities in the paint. They generally get more opportunities to go to the line than their opponent. Of course, playing at home, you're going to be get more benefits from the officials' whistles. They're generally going to favor the home team anyway. Excuse me, I get so choked up talking about the Cavaliers. Plus, you're also going to get a chance when you dominate the offensive glass to get your own breaks in terms of the transition. So I think, again, any way you play this game, there's only one way to do it, and that's to go ahead and lay the points with Cleveland in this one as they wrap up, or they take a commanding 3-1 lead in a series that they should have been wrapping up tonight and starting to enjoy their rest and prepping for the Warriors. So Cleveland is going to be the complimentary play. I wish you well, guys. and talk to you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.